What's going on, guys? Firewolf Tech here, showing you guys the LG 39GS95QE UltraGear gaming monitor. This is LG's latest 39-inch ultra-wide OLED monitor that shares the same specs as a 34-inch version that I also just reviewed. You get their new Unity hexagonal design with a new L-shaped stand that saves a lot of precious desk space. This monitor will come with LG's 3rd generation MLA-W OLED panel, which greatly improves brightness and a better subpixel layout for clearer text. It does have a matte coating, which may be a turnoff for some of you guys looking for that crystal clear glossy screen, but there are benefits which I'll cover later. For an amazing gaming experience, this monitor has an 800R curvature, 240Hz refresh rate, and a super low 0.03 millisecond response time. It's also NVIDIA G-Sync compatible and supports AMD FreeSync Premium Pro for buttery smooth gameplay. Looking deeper into the specs, the 39GS95QE has a 21:9 aspect ratio, a 3440x1440 resolution, a 98.5% DCI P3 color gamut, and a typical brightness of 275 nits. This monitor has a premium price tag of $1,499, which is $200 more than the 34-inch version, so I want to know if those extra 5 inches are worth it. Since this monitor shares the same specs as the 34GS95QE, most of this review will be similar to that review, but I'll try my best to keep it fresh. My first impressions when turning on this beautiful and big OLED monitor was how fire the 800R curvature wraps around your field of view. It's more immersive than the 34-inch version, and I wasn't expecting such an incredible wow factor. I'm a little disappointed though that they didn't go with a higher resolution like their 38-inch UltraGear monitors that have a WQHD Plus resolution of 3840x1600. It would have increased the pixel density and made it just as sharp as the 34-inch version. This monitor has a pixel density of about 96 pixels per inch, which is lower than the pixel density of a 34-inch ultra-wide at about 110. Now, I don't think it's a deal breaker since I found text to be clear enough, but the lower PPI is noticeable. I'll be bouncing between both of my desk setups to showcase the stand and having it on my monitor arm. A 27 or 32-inch 4K display is still going to be king when it comes to pixel density, but where this monitor shines is its ultra-wide 21:9 aspect ratio that gives you more screen real estate, better productivity, and a crazy immersive gaming experience with that 800R curvature. For inputs, this monitor has 2 HDMI 2.1 ports, 1 DisplayPort 1.4, a USB 3.0 upstream port, 2 USB-A ports, and a 3.5mm headphone jack which features DTS-X. For the price of this monitor, they should have added a USB-C DisplayPort and a KVM switch. This new L-shaped stand is very sturdy and stable, but if you have an oversized mousepad like I do, you lose some of that stability. You get a good amount of height adjustment, swivel, and tilt, and like the 34-inch version, you won't be able to pivot the screen. I really like the design of the stand, and it saves so much space compared to their V-shaped stand from older UltraGear monitors. The back of the monitor also sports a new Unity hexagonal design, which in my opinion looks a little bland, and I still find the older hexagon design more attractive with the double LED light strips. Instead, you have a more subtle RGB light strip that glows up nicely in the middle. You'll be able to change it to a static color or have it cycle through different colors. Overall, this design is not going to scream gamer and is more subtle, which some of you guys might like. Now let's test out the gaming performance of the 39GS95QE using both of my gaming PCs. When you see this monitor on the monitor arm, I'll be using my white build equipped with an RTX 4090 and an AMD 7950X3D, while the other desk setup will be using my black build with an RTX 4080 Super and an AMD 7900X. Both builds will be in the description box below. 39 inches and a 800R curvature is super immersive that really pulls you into the action. Combine that with this beautiful OLED panel, a fast 240Hz refresh rate, and a super low 0.03 millisecond response time, and man, are you in for a treat. Modern Warfare 3 looks amazing on this monitor, and I experienced no screen tearing thanks to NVIDIA G-Sync that worked great on the RTX 4090 and 4080 Super. I have graphics set to ultra with DLSS set to quality for amazing visuals and high frames per second. While I wouldn't say ultra-wide FPS gaming is better for competitive play than smaller 16:9 monitors, you can still have the upper hand thanks to a wider field of view, high refresh rate, and a low response time. There are custom preset gaming settings that you can tweak to your liking. I like having 2 profiles, one dedicated for normal use and the other when I play first person shooters like MW3. While they do have an FPS profile, I find that the sharpness is a little too much for me and it doesn't let me adjust that. Thankfully, the Gamer 1 and 2 profiles give you many options to adjust brightness, contrast, and black stabilizers. I do wish they included a remote like they did on other high-end UltraGear monitors for an easier and better experience. If you're considering this 39-inch or 34-inch version, you can expect the same exact frames per second performance since they have the same 3440 by 1440 resolution. Compared to 4K, you would also see better performance since there's less total pixels to render, allowing for many GPUs to hit a smooth 240 plus frames per second. Now, you don't necessarily need to always have a game running at 240 frames or higher. Games like Horizon Forbidden West looks fire on this OLED display, and I love to enjoy the experience with max visual settings. This game was made for OLED displays, and if you're someone who's considering switching from an IPS or VA display, you will be blown away with the beautiful visuals of the 39GS95QE. For sound, you're going to have to rely on a headset or external speakers since this monitor has no built-in speakers. I'm always okay with this since monitor speakers usually don't sound that great. Since this monitor has an OLED display, an OLED image clean is recommended after 4 hours of use, and the good thing is that you won't experience any pop-ups or notifications on this monitor, keeping you locked in and focused when you're gaming or doing your other tasks. This monitor automatically performs an image clean when this display is shut off, which is super convenient and should extend the life of your display. Forza 5 also looks amazing on this display, and I could see this display being perfect for building your own racing sim. Gaming on a larger 39-inch display has been incredible. Diving deeper into the display, the 39GS95QE has a Display HDR True Black 400 certification, which meets a minimum peak luminance of 400 nits with super deep black levels. HDR looks good on this monitor, but I still prefer using it in SDR. Colors look great on this monitor with a 98.5% DCI-P3 color gamut coverage, but it's not factory pre-calibrated like the ROG PG34WCDM, which has the same panel type. You do have a lot of adjustments you can make with different presets to find something that works for you. This 3rd generation WOLED panel has higher brightness levels with typical brightness at 275 nits and a minimum of 250 nits. This is a huge improvement over older LG OLED monitors from a year ago and brighter than current QD OLED monitors by a bit. Now, while QD OLED monitors and other OLED TVs like LG's own C3 line have a glossy finish, this monitor instead features an anti-glare low reflection matte coating that I know would be an immediate turnoff for those that prefer a crystal clear display. There's a reason why the majority of monitors feature matte coatings, and it's simply because it's the best when it comes to deflecting light sources in brighter setups. In this example, I'm using my M3 MacBook that has a glossy display, and you can immediately see the reflection of my windows and camera. It becomes more difficult to see, especially when I have my ring light on. Having a matte coating makes it easier to use throughout the day without having to worry about different light sources ruining your experience. The biggest downside, however, is the fuzziness that comes with the extra thick matte coating. Compared to glossier displays, you lose a lot of clarity and it makes images look a little more dull and hazy. You'll notice this fuzzy texture more on bright white backgrounds, and glossier displays will look better if you can control the lighting of your setup, while this matte display will be easier to use even in the brightest settings. Testing out the PS5 on this monitor will output 4K resolution and stretch the image to fit the 21:9 aspect ratio, just like the 34GS95QE. HDR is automatically enabled, and this monitor will support the PS5's variable refresh rate all the way up to 120Hz, which is awesome. Having it stretched doesn't look that bad, and it's going to be personal preference if you choose to play at a wider aspect ratio. You can always switch the aspect ratio to the original 16:9, which will spawn a black bar on each side. Because of OLED, it's a deep black and you might not notice it when playing in the dark. You'll notice I have an aux cable connected on the bottom of the monitor in order to output sound to my PC speakers. This is great because even though the PS5 doesn't have any sound output other than headsets, you can still use a speaker that has a 3.5mm jack. The colors look amazing and you can still adjust different color profiles and settings, and it's great being able to game on your console, and while not the most optimal, it's still a good experience and you might even like the stretch image. With any OLED monitor, the biggest concern and fear is burn-in, and dropping a huge bag on this monitor makes you naturally worried about the longevity of this display. I personally wouldn't worry about it too much because LG does an amazing job of routinely cleaning your display when it's off or on standby mode after 4 hours of cumulative use. There's no pop-ups or notifications to distract you, and the way you'll know when an image clean has been performed is when this monitor turns on, you'll see an image clean performed confirmation, and that's pretty much it. You could also manually perform one in the settings. To take it a step further, LG also includes a 2-year warranty that covers OLED burn-in, which should give you peace of mind. OLED has been around for a long time where the chances of burn-in is significantly reduced. Since LG didn't include a remote, you'll have to rely on the 4-directional joystick on the back. Now I'm not gonna lie, but this section is gonna be the exact same as the 34GS95QE review that I just did, since they have the same menu settings, and this will save me a lot of time. When you bring up the full menu, you'll be shown 4 monitor setting statuses. The first menu option is gonna be Game Adjust. Here you'll be able to choose the different game mode presets, enable adaptive sync, adjust black stabilizers, add a crosshair, which you only have the option between a dot or a cross, and an FPS counter that you can position in either corner. Next is Picture Adjust, where you can change brightness levels, contrast, sharpness, and many color settings. These settings will be saved to the game profile you have selected. Next is Sound for headphone EQ settings and volume, then Input settings, where you can also adjust aspect ratios and enable picture by picture. And finally, we have General, where you can find your OLED protection features and also where the hexagon lighting settings are. You can set it to many different static RGB colors or leave it in cycling to cycle through colors. I would have liked to see more lighting features and also would have liked them to be brighter. There's also the option to change the DisplayPort version in case you want to disable display stream compression. Using this monitor for day-to-day tasks has been a great experience. The 21:9 ultra-wide format gives you a lot of screen real estate to be more productive with multiple windows open at the same time. I could have 3 windows split evenly and still have enough clarity to see them all. I still think a higher resolution would have made this even better, but the 3440 by 1440 resolution honestly isn't that bad. Compared to the 34-inch version, this 39-inch is about 2 inches taller and 3 inches wider. You lose a little bit of sharpness but gain a more immersive and larger screen. Using a video editing software is awesome on this large 39-inch screen, which gives you a wide view of the timeline and makes creating content easier and effective. I also like how the 800R curvature brings everything to your field of view without having to turn your head as much. So is the LG UltraGear OLED 39GS95QE worth the insane price tag of $1,499? Well, if you want to experience a high quality 1440p immersive OLED gaming experience, then this will be worth the wallet burn. You get a respectable 240Hz refresh rate and an 800R curve that makes gaming an awesome experience. While it may not have a crystal clear glossy display, you have to ask yourself how and where your monitor is actually going to be used. Having the matte coating has the benefit of being able to use this monitor in a broader range of setups without the worry of reflections. Now I know I'll be asked which would I choose between this 39-inch version or the smaller 34-inch version. And I would definitely go for the 39-inch since I have the space to accommodate. I think the additional $200 for a larger screen is fair, but I still wish LG went with a higher resolution like their 3840 by 1600 UltraGear monitors. The upside though is that you don't need a high-end PC to run games at high settings with high frames, since it's only 29% more demanding than standard QHD resolution. Overall, this monitor is a great OLED ultra-wide gaming monitor that I have no issues recommending if you have the budget and space for it. The 800R curvature is aggressive and has its benefits for gaming, but for other uses like web browsing and reading lots of small text with its lower pixel density might make this harder to recommend. If you're interested in getting this monitor or the many tech that you've seen in this video, I will have affiliate links down below which will help and support the Firewolf Tech channel. I want to thank you for sticking to the end of this video and would also like to know your thoughts and feedbacks in the comments down below. I hope this video was helpful for you guys and I will love your support with a like, share, and subscribe. Firewolf out.